Hey everyone, welcome back to the weekly Astro forecast for today, the 3rd of March, going into next week, the 9th. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in with us today. Hi, Stain. Let me know in the chat where you are watching this from. Stain is watching from Belgium, the country that I am born in as well. So, of course, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe here at the Beyond Mystic 003 channel on YouTube and also, of course, here on Rumble. There are a lot of cool shows. Make sure you do not miss a single beat. And if you guys are interested in booking in a personal consultation with me, you can do that on the Beyond Mystic consultation page. And you can use Beyond Mystic to save 10% off. So, guys, big day today. We are having a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. How cool is it that the universe decided that my shows would be happening on the eclipses? So, last week, of course, and 2 weeks ago, we had the one in Aquarius. That was, of course, a solar eclipse. And now we are seeing a lunar eclipse. And hey, Guinness girl. And we have Love Warrior and Brandon. Hi, Brandon and Laura. So many of you guys are here, and also Jana from Belgium. And indeed, Lady Day, it's not an accident, not a coincidence that I'm doing these shows on the exact days of the eclipses. So let me know how you are feeling with it. Honestly, I've been feeling pretty calm today and actually rather happy. There is so much sunshine here in Belgium, and after 6 months of being so cloudy here, I feel like I am like rebooting right now. I feel so good in my skin. I've enjoyed the sun a little bit today, and I've been doing my parasite cleanse, of course, because we are on an eclipse that is in the sign of Virgo. And of course, Virgo deals with our physical health. So take some extra time off if you are possible to do that. We have a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So our mind needs a little bit more time, and definitely there are a lot of energetic purges going on right now, and our body needs a little bit more time to catch up with that. So support your body, take your supplements, take some extra rest. If you can, take some time off of work, because Virgo, of course, also deals with the workforce and our job and our daily environment on which we like operate. It's like the daily systems in which our daily life operates on. So there is actually a very big release going on in that right now, or like a culmination. Maybe you are reaching a major milestone at work. That is definitely also a possibility. But if you feel a little bit tired, and if you feel like, oh wow, my brain is just like not functioning as it should, and I feel a little bit less motivated, that is definitely one of the signs. Mercury retrograde in Pisces, it is known for like exhaustion and not being able to see the full truth. And we see a lot of narratives on social media right now, and there are a lot of opinions. And yeah, it's very difficult right now to cut through the confusion. That is definitely a sign of the times. So um yeah, Jana says I can't with those aliens coming out everywhere suddenly. Yeah, there are like a lot of like, it is Saturn Neptune together. They are conjunct. They were exactly conjunct on February the 20th, and that is very notoriously known for disclosure around that and like a very big uptick in all these teams. So it's not uncommon that you are seeing this, Jana, but be careful. It's difficult to know the entire truth right now. Definitely so much Pisces energy going on. And hi, 4 times Aries. Hi, S. How are you doing? That is like incredible, S. You're going to have a full stellium on top of your own stellium in April. So brace yourself for that. It's going to be full force ahead for sure, my dear S. So exactly. Jana says, you cannot see if it's AI or not. And there are so many things going on right now in the chart that really resemble not being able to know like fact from fiction. Pisces is known about fiction and our screens and lies and things that are not true. We need to use our discernment, sign of Virgo, where we have this eclipse happening today. So, yeah, it is very difficult to know the truth these days with all these deep fakes and all of these AI pictures. And there's definitely manipulation through screens going on very intensely at this time with the retrograde. And hi, Create Design. So, let's get into the week ahead. Yeah, there's of course a lot to talk about today, as we can do every week. But here we can look at the chart for the Virgo lunar eclipse. And it's happening at 12 degrees. And we see this whole Pisces stellium, but 12 degrees, it is a Pisces degree. So it adds even more confusion to everything that we're feeling right now. We can feel that our body is sending these subtle cues. It is very important to listen to that, as we are dealing here with a lot of sensitivity. And it's very faded and it's emotionally very loud, the sign of Pisces. Stop forcing and start listening. Luckily, on the 10th of March, Jupiter is going to station direct, and it's going to trine this entire Pisces stellium. So that is going to be very, very good news. And it's going to give us some kind of relief. And I think we can all use that after the past couple of intense things that are definitely going on right now in the sky and in the world, of course. So we're also going to see a sun trine Jupiter. That is like one of the best days of the entire month. Mercury retrograde is going to trine Jupiter just before Jupiter stations direct. So it's like a very big push here that this Jupiter gets along from this entire Pisces stellium. And intuition is like the strategy right now. Definitely, if you are Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, you are dealing with a very big, beautiful water trine. The next week, even 2 weeks, are going to be like full of blessings. And I know it's maybe a little bit more harder to really believe in that right now, as there is a lot of chaos, but still, you guys are going to receive some very, very positive news over the next few weeks. And that can even last, or like this energy can linger even until the 20th of March. So there is actually also very positive news, of course. But this Mercury retrograde, of course, we know that Pisces deals with globality. It's like a global sign, immigration, oil, gas, all of that deals, rules, is ruled over by Pisces. And yesterday, on the 2nd of March, Mars shifted into Pisces. So I want to put a little bit more emphasis on that. So we're going to rewind one day. So this is actually a major energetic shift. Mars is our frustration in the sign of Pisces. It is also about the collective unconsciousness. And there's like, yeah, frustration within that being massively felt, and like our boundaries are becoming so porous. It is very, very sensitive. Like everything has more impact on our body right now. And Mars is normally, it's like very sharp and future. It's like when it was in Aquarius, it was very future focused and very mentally activating. But now Mars is in a sign where it's becoming more like diffuse and ethereal. And Mars is, of course, our motivation and our strength also, and our passion. So it's becoming way more emotional, and it's also where our energy is directed. So now it becomes way more spiritually directed. So when Mars changes signs, the way we take action changes as well. So now our action is getting more guided by our intuition, and our desire becomes more like devotional. Motivation, Mars, it flows Pisces through our emotions, dreams, and also like the unseen realms. It is very, very mystical. So Mars is the warrior in Pisces. This is the spiritual warrior getting activated massively. And of course, normally Mars belongs to Aries and Neptune belongs to Pisces. So they're actually in each other's sign. So there is still somewhat of like mutual reception going on with that. But still, we feel like Stability is getting washed away. Stability is getting like dissolved. And that is because Saturn is on Neptune. And these two are very known for like regime changes and even, yeah, feeling a little bit unsure about the future. Just know that it is all normal right now. So, and I'm quickly reading the comments as long as the only. Yeah, John Dizzle. As long as the only source of info for the Middle East is the media because of communication blackouts, best to not take the propaganda as fact, just saying. I'm going to underline that. I totally agree, John. We're seeing a lot of propaganda. We're seeing a lot of brainwash with this Pisces stellium. We see a lot of, actually, even like delusion happening. Pisces rules over delusion. And of course, it's not because you're a Pisces sun sign and I'm saying that you're delusional. It's just like this whole pile up of planetary energy and Mercury retrograde. Like Mercury is at fall and in detriment, and it's retrograde, and it's being like eclipsed. It is the ruler of the Virgo eclipse. So whatever is being shared on our screens, Pisces, whatever is being like, we need to be very, very careful, you guys. Our subconscious is being very porous, and the brainwash is getting installed very, very easily. And what do we know? We know that the dark arts people, they thrive off of our fear, off of our anger. And I'm not saying not to be angry because I, of course, understand it with everything that is happening. Still, try to really reconnect with yourself. Try to breathe, try to calm down, try to exude trust and calm and surrender and tap into your intuition. If something feels off, if something feels like it's not the entire truth, you're probably right. And it is very difficult to know what's going on. And honestly, this chess that happens on like a world level or like a global level, it is so complex, it is so deeply layered. It is very difficult to know what is really going on right now. And there are definitely a lot of like different opinions on it, but I think we can all agree upon the fact that it's not going in the right direction. And this eclipse in Virgo is actually connected to the one in 2007 that was also a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, and also at 12 degrees. And that is when actually the civil war began in Iraq. So there's a big possibility we're going to see the same things getting played out or re-triggered. Always also in 2007, that was also this eclipse that triggered, together with the Aquarius eclipse, the whole destabilization in our finances. So that is also very much happening here as well. So Sister Nobody says, I got up, but it was too foggy and cloudy to see the eclipse. Well, actually, Sister Nobody, I never watch eclipses. Definitely not a blood moon. I do not want to scare you guys, but there is a reason why in ancient Mesopotamia and like the ancient astrologers, like they hid inside of their house and they were like closing all of the curtains. And of course, I'm not saying you should do that. And I'm also not saying to give your power away to that and live in fear. No, but I've watched an eclipse once a couple of years ago. And the 6 months that followed after that, that was like pure hell and misery. So I'm a little bit careful with these things, honestly. So do not worry if you didn't saw it like happening while it was getting eclipsed. So yeah, like minds, John. Yeah, I think we are here with a lot of like-minded people, and I think that is really going to help us through this period, because Pluto is in Aquarius. Like the real currency and the real things that are going to help you through this are actually the people who you surround yourself with. It is not about like when Pluto was in Capricorn, it was about like your status and how much money you had in the bank and how cool your car was and how big your house was. And like, nobody cares, man. It is about the people who you surround yourself with. And yeah, it's like, I honestly would feel way more happy to live in a small cottage somewhere in the woods where we are surrounded by people who actually do care about one another. So there's definitely a very big shift. And your biggest car or your biggest house that is not getting any applause anymore. So yeah. Guinness Girl says Mercury is like the kid that gets voted most likely to go to prison. Well, actually, Guinness Girl, what you're highlighting here, Pisces, it deals with prison. And Neptune is on Saturn, and we're going to see more people going to prison. And I'm going to highlight it more in the show later. But definitely, I can understand that it hurts a lot to see the evil in the world. And yeah, I think it's exposing a lot of truth. And Neptune on Saturn together, I've said it multiple times on my other platform, that 2026 would actually be like an exam or a test of the universe to see if we learned our lesson of 2020. And that is not believing that there's some savior here to rescue us, not in your family, not your partner, not on a global level, not in the government. They're saying that they're like bombing around because they want to free the people. And of course, the regime there, it is terrible how they suppress women and all the terrible things that they're doing, and then like molesting their own people. I do not approve it. But like saying that it's only to free Iran and the people, like there are so many other countries that needs like to be freed. Like, are they now gonna like free the hungry kids in Africa as well? I'm just like waiting on that, honestly. So yeah, I understand that it hurts to see the evil in the world, but it's very important to not give your power away to that as well. Staying neutral, using your discernment, really staying grounded. Here, John says it, staying grounded is a great strategy for the self. Exactly. Detach, and I'm also not saying spiritually bypass everyone and just pretend that there's nothing happening. No, but what can we do? We do not have any control then over our own emotions and our own body. And Virgo is the sign of control. And what's interesting as well is that Trump is born on a lunar eclipse. Netanyahu is born on a lunar eclipse. And the leader of Iran that they just killed was also born under a lunar eclipse. So that is so mind-boggling. When you're born on an eclipse, and I'm also now talking to you personally, then this can be a very, very intense period. People who are born on an eclipse, they call that like moonchild, and it is a very, like, you can look into it. It's also something of Aleister Crowley, and I do not like to pronounce its name, but still, look at the deeper layer of like people who are born on a blood moon eclipse, for example. Not saying that these are all bad people, definitely not you personally at home, but still, there can be a very intense feeling now, and we are in such a big portal. A lot of people in between like eclipses, they get born or they are crossing over, and that in itself is already always a very, very intense period of time. It's like everything right now, it can change in like a second, in like the blink of an eye, and it can feel very overwhelming. So I hope that you're actually doing well with the energy. But yeah, it is. Yeah, Sister Nobody, yeah, if your moon is very close to the eclipse, definitely your feelings are getting eclipsed. Something within the family can happen, and it can be rather emotional. It's like an emotional revelation culmination, depending on the house where it sits. So, and if you have a Pluto transit that squares your sun, honestly, Hepburn 100, that is one of the most intense periods in your lifetime. It can feel very, very overwhelming, and it's transformation through crisis. It's about a very big rebirth. Combine this here with the eclipse, definitely very interesting and not to underestimate. Yes, there are a lot of blessings for the water signs right now. That is definitely the case. So I know in like the macro world, everything is literally very much on fire, and I almost do not dare to say it to you guys, but do not shoot the messenger. I do not want to be the bearer of bad news, but we ain't seen nothing yet. We are going to have a 7 planetary stellium. So that means 7 planets in one sign, and it's going to be in Aries in April. 15th of April is going to be very, very, very intense. And Aries is, of course, a sign of war. So many planets in one sign in war. What we've seen now is going to be nothing in compared to what's coming, actually. And I think Article 5 of NATO is going to get triggered because NATO has a Virgo rising and it has a natal stellium in Aries. So the stellium that is going to form in the sky is going to conjunct NATO's natal stellium. So yeah, I would advise you, if you are in one of the countries that is already under fire, leave, prepare yourself in some kind of way, have like a backup generator, have some extra water, have some extra food. Not to scare you, but maybe we might need a satellite phone. Maybe there is going to be problems with the internet. Maybe we're going to see boots on the ground in April. That is for sure. And I think a lot of people, and especially American people and American soldiers who are right now losing their life for this conflict, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to say no and who are going to stay home and desert, or how do you say it in English? They're not going to be willing to go to war, because we can see like prescription, or am I saying the right words? We're going to see people really revolting. And Saturn can be about force, being forced to go to war, Aries, and people are going to say no, because Saturn is like blocking our identity. Are we going to be able to be ourselves? Are we going to be able to have free speech? Saturn has a very big blocking, limiting effect in the sign of Aries on our identity. Now, the positive part is that Saturn is going to really punish and also reframe the bigger war themes. So I think in April, we're going to see some kind of like literal and symbolic explosion, but after that, there's going to be consequences. And people who are now not wanting to follow like the universal laws of the universe, and who are going to be like, F it, I'm not going to follow the rules anymore. I'm done with the rules, and I'm just going to be myself and do what I want. Me, Aries. They're going to be punished by Saturn in a very, very, I was going to say striking way, but that is not the right word for today, honestly. And I'm sorry, that was like not my intention, but Saturn is going to be very, very strict and very tough on those who manipulate, who spiritually bypass, who hide the truth, who advertise it as we're going to free the people. Yeah, there's going to be consequences for sure. So sorry for my little rant on that. I really wanted to share my opinion on everything that's going on right now. I've actually included something to share with you, because actually my opinion doesn't matter. I think this slide just says it all. And I'm not gonna try to talk too much about it, but if you really think about it, and if you look at this slide, then I think I do not need to comment anymore on that. This is like the key thing, and I'm not gonna even talk more about it anymore. I think I've said enough about it. So March 3rd, enough with the negative things. We're gonna focus on our own life and how Mars now is also in our personal lives, fighting to heal, to release, to surrender, to save what truly matters. And it is the end of the zodiac sign. It is karmic closure. It is the subconscious. It's dreams, spirituality, compassion. But be careful for escapism right now, because it's all rather overwhelming and intense. And the collective emotions are definitely now being triggered by more frustration here. Mars and Pisces. Pisces rules over naval routes, shipping lanes, oil, drugs. We're going to see more fights over that while Mars travels here through that sign, unfortunately. So whatever happens in the world, and even my opinion, it doesn't matter, because it's all like indicated by the astrology. Somehow there is a bigger force that is astrology. It is like clockwork, you guys. And I knew when Mars would square Uranus that there would be very big intensity going on in the world. And the next conjunction, so the next aspect between Mars and Uranus, is going to happen on the 4th of July. And then they're going to be on top of one another here in the sign of Gemini. It will already be palpable from the beginning of July. So I know you guys have like a very big anniversary in the States, and we're definitely going to see chaos with that for sure. So I'm already pointing that out right now. If you are a musician, if you are somehow creative, if you make music, film, photography, do anything in the spiritual arts or in the creative field, then this is very, very positive to tap into this energy, like for doing energy work and dream work. Keep a dream journal right now. And of course, Mars in the sign of our sleep, that can create a little bit of strange dreams. Mars is very active, very fiery in the sign of Pisces. While we sleep, we are actually fighting. And I think a lot of light workers right now are going to really feel that during their sleep, that they're somehow battling with their astral body. We know there is a spiritual war going on. We know that very well. That's already for a very long time. But Saturn and Neptune really highlight that massively right now. And then Saturn, Saturn is now at 2 degrees. We've never seen Saturn at 2 degrees before. So we are like in uncharted territory. And Saturn is really about law, the law, rules, people who are in a very high government position. It is about the government. It is about the structures, and Neptune is dissolving all of that. Be a little bit careful here with Mars now in its sign for like passive aggressive anger, and a lot of people are going to try to avoid confrontation. I do advise you to not let people walk all over you in the next coming weeks. Otherwise, whenever Mars switches over into Aries, people are already going to be like walking on eggshells and on the brinks of like exploding. And if people now avoid certain conflicts, then it's going to pop off really, really loudly in March, also for your personal life. So look at your martyrdom patterns. Look at where you are a little bit avoidant. Look where you are not being able to fully express your anger, because anger is actually a very positive emotion if you are using that in a healthy way. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not being able to tap into that in a healthy way. It is used, our anger, to see where people are crossing the line and where we need to draw new boundaries. And that is going to become very obvious in the next couple of weeks. But also, Pisces rules our immune system. So what I'm seeing here is that we have an eclipse in Virgo, physical health, 12 degrees, energetic physical health as well. Then we see here everything that is like hidden. And it's also like our immune system again. I hope we're not going to see some kind of new disease with this, and with Saturn on top of Neptune as well. Honestly, guys, these are connected with real pandemics. I'm almost do not dare to say it, but eclipses in Virgo are also connected with people having a little bit more of a difficulty with their health, especially with their gut. Look at the intestines. Make sure you are eating the right foods right now to support the body and support the energetic rewiring that is going on right now. And let's knock on wood that that doesn't happen. That's why I'm also telling you to, maybe take more supplements to really support the immune system right now. You might feel a little bit more need for like rest as well. Luckily, we have Jupiter that is acting as a protector, that is trining this whole stellium. So my take on this is that it's not going to get fully out of hand, but still we need to be a little bit careful right now. And yeah, Saturn and Neptune, it is like, I've warned for it that Saturn refrains and Neptune is compassion. So there is a lack of compassion, and that is now shaping the new world structure. I also mentioned it a couple of times before in other videos that Neptune Saturn together is most is it has been in the historic cycles a lot connected to fascism and communism, and that is because Neptune resembles we are all one together, and Saturn structurizes that vision. So but there's definitely a new world disorder going on right now, because Aries doesn't like to be told what to do, and Aries is the warrior, and Aries says no, and that is also why we are seeing so much conflict right now, because of these two planets in the sign of Aries. So the beautiful part here is that Mars is going to conjunct with the North Node soon, and that is really destiny-driven action. And it's going to be some kind of collective turning point. There's like a spiritual course correction taking place right now. We're going to see like an uptick in war drums, but at the same time, we're also going to see an uptick in peace movements. So we know that we are like in this split of timelines with people right now. One just goes for the transhumanistic agenda, the other is like rebellion and growing their own food and really making sure that they're having the right connections. And we can see that like the split is just like getting bigger and bigger, and it's going to be a very big emphasis the next 2 years. And then a little bit later, Mercury is also going to conjunct with Mars. So these are going to be such a big truth bombs and heated conversations. And on a personal level, we can really use that for cutting cords. And I think that is the most important thing we now all need to focus on. Cutting the cords from the people who have deceived us, from the people who have lied to us, from the people who are secretly siphoning our energy. The energetic vampires, they now need to be purged. And the full moon lunar eclipse is definitely helping with that. We must release now what must end. Because honestly, yeah, I've already mentioned it in the intro, but 2026 is actually an exam and a test of the universe on how well we have learned our lesson of 2020. And why I'm saying this right now is because on the 28th of March, we're going to see an exact sextile between Saturn, the government, structure, rules, reality, sextiling Pluto. Pluto is intensity, power, manipulation, transformation through crisis, exposing of truth. Everything that is like underneath the surface, it just bubbles up and is getting exposed. But it can be a very intense time, honestly. And when did we saw the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune that is now going to get triggered again on the 28th of March? We saw that during 2020, the beginning, January of 2020, the 12th to be exact. So then we had a major conjunction of Saturn, Pluto, and also Jupiter on top of one another. So by the end of March, we're definitely going to see some new structures being implemented, something that they've already tried in 2020 that didn't fully then worked. But now we see like the first big aspect, a sextile between these two planets that planted a seed in the beginning of 2020. I'm just already saying that. And then later, by the beginning of July, we're going to see an opposition of Pluto and Jupiter. So Jupiter was also in the mix with Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter all on top of each other when the whole pandemic kicked off. So we're also going to see another aspect of like it's an opposition between Jupiter and Pluto in the beginning of July. So yeah, it is going to be a very big year, you guys. Astrologically, there is a lot that gets re-triggered that was actually installed or tried to be installed in 2020. So, yeah, you guys are going to need to really like observe and not absorb, indeed, and to really like rebel. But we can rebel by freeing ourselves and by connecting with the right people and to surrender and trust that everything is going to be okay. It's going to get a little bit more darker before the light returns, and it's still going to be a few years, honestly. So do not give your power away to the fact like to wanting to be or have everything in like perfect alignment right now. It is not in the cards, and I'm not saying there are not going to be positive things happening in the next few years, of course. But when I look at the astrology, it's just like one thing after another, and we're gonna need to surrender and pray a lot. And yeah, I'm a little bit behind on the comments because you guys are giving me so much love in the chat. But John said, as you said, we are our own regulator for our emotions. The triggers are influencing many, and the many try to trigger you too, and they might to try to trigger you too. Yeah, it's true. We need to be very, very aware of why we are getting triggered, when we are in fear, and when we feel we are in fear, we need to surrender. We need to take a step back. We need to ground. We need to trust. Because honestly, you guys, I do not want them to like take and like, yeah, just like harvest my negative energy. No, I think the biggest rebellion right now is to feel peace and share love and to regroup and prepare yourself and to create like, how do you say it, a vangnet, a security. Like whenever we're gonna all collectively need to do some kind of trust fall, and it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this because Pluto is out of bounds starting from August again. So when Pluto is out of bounds, it is always a very big signifier that the power returns back to the people. That is why they're doing so much effort right now on like the world stage to keep us in fear, to make our nervous system feel frozen, feeling stuck, feeling like we do not have control, and it's not going to work, you guys. Like the next few years are going to be the last gasps of a dying system. And whenever you look back in historic cycles, whenever Pluto goes out of bounds to the south, the power returns back to the people. But it's only been doing that since last year. So since last summer, August until November, that is when Pluto goes out of bounds. And it's going to do that for the next 9 years. So in totality, it's going to do that for 10 years straight. After these 10 years have passed, so I'm now talking about 2035, after that time, Pluto will not do it for another 1,000 years. That is how crazy this cycle is that we're in right now. And it's always been proven time and again that the oppression kind of got heightened, but it's because they are actually in fear. Because they are actually losing power. The darkness is losing power. The darkness is getting massively illuminated. So it might seem like there is more bad things going on in the world, but that's actually not the case. It is being exposed. It is being illuminated, and it's going to get a little bit more intense before things are going to get better. But we are here alive in this time to witness the next 10 years and how that is going to unfold. As soon as Uranus shifts over into Gemini by the end of April, the 25th to be exact, we're going to see so much more younger people taking like matters into their own hands and creating another world. Look at all the Gen Z protests that happened last summer. That was also because of Pluto out of bounds and Uranus in Gemini. So we're getting 9 more years of that. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit chaotic. But look at the younger generation. I saw an article that the alcohol industry is losing major profits because Gen Z generation decided not to drink anymore. Like, I can applaud that. We are going into a more beautiful world. We are still coming out of the age of Pisces and we're crossing over into the age of Aquarius. And whenever we're like in the transition period, things are unstable and things might feel a little bit more scary, but it's actually because we are like in an acceleration process of like birthing this new world. And you can look at it as like peristalsis. And if you're like a mother and if you have kids, of course, you know what I'm talking about, but I do not have kids. But still, we are like now in this in the contractions, and it's actually quite heavy, and we just need to like breathe, 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 and trust that mother nature and the force that's behind that, and the one who really has like the strings in hand, that it's actually being exposed for the better. So this is like completely not what I've actually prepared to say today, but I guess it just had to be this way. And yes, of course, Guinness Girl, a lot of problems with technology for sure. Yeah, I had a lot of weird things as well. And Lakeside Laura, hi Laura. She says, I had a stomach ache this morning from something I ate. Yeah, a lot of people are suffering from indigestion. And Virgo rules over our intestines and our bowels and our stomach as well. I'm a Virgo rising, and I need to be very, very careful for my health, and especially for my stomach and what I put into it. Like everything in regards to gluten, like wheat, is it like wheat or like whatever they are, like in all the products that contain like bread and cookies and all of that, I cannot eat it. And dairy also not too well for me. So yeah, probiotics are definitely very important right now, or like taking in extra enzymes to help you like digest, because honestly we are digesting so much, don't you think? It's normal that maybe our stomach is a little bit upset, and I strongly advise you to detach from your screen, to not listen to all the war correspondence and to all like the new messages and the mainstream media, even the alternative media. Everyone is so focused now on this topic, and I'm also talking about it, of course, but by that we just decide to let them drain our energy. And it's okay, and it is necessary to be informed. And of course, when I think about the school that they bombed, although I think that was actually misdirected, or I think that was not on purpose, still there's collateral damage, and it's like a school full of children. When I think about that, I feel it in my throat. It's like, we also know that they do sacrifices on eclipses, you guys. So yeah, the fear of disease. I'm just quickly looking at the comments. You guys are so on fire today. Wow. It is very, very intense energy. So yeah, let's maybe shift over to another day here, you guys. Enough of my rants. Let's go further into the forecast for today. So to maybe highlight something more here, on a personal level, people are now quitting draining situations. That is very positive. This whole Pisces stellium is very, very important to do like therapy and shadow work, and there is like massive interest in the spiritual realm, and this is like a creative renaissance here that is happening as well, and it is an exposure of hidden truths, and it is also about renegotiation of conflict, especially between the 12th and the 15th of March, whenever Mars is going to be on the north node, and then on Mercury there's going to be some big reassessment or like revision. But definitely the 12th house is also what happens behind the scenes. Mars is military operations. Pisces is like ships and tankers and like things going on at sea. But there's a lot of things we do not know because it happens behind the scenes. It's in Pisces. We do not know what it is. And there are going to be major narrative shifts over the next few weeks. So do not try to have everything figured out. Do not try to understand everything. It is normal that you do not understand everything right now. Focus on spiritual practice, on movement that actually flows, swimming, going to the sauna, yoga, but do maybe yin yoga. Others would say hot yoga with Mars, but let's just be a little bit more softer with ourselves. And if we take action, make sure that it is compassionate and not deceiving ourselves of others with Mars now in Pisces. Avoid numbing yourself, avoid doom scrolling, avoid avoidance of everything. And yeah, look at the victim savior dynamics and how that is actually keeping us stuck in old patterns. So yeah, it is actually the warrior here, Mars, and it is laying down the sword, and it's now picking up its soul mission, definitely when it conjuncts the North Node. Very, very important here. So yeah, let's look at the eclipse I already mentioned. Of course, daily routines, our work environment, and people that we interact with day in, day out, and the systems that keep our life functioning. That is definitely a very big release here right now. So yeah, the world is changing massively, and the eclipse is a global detox of systems, of informations, of like structures in the labor force, and of a lot of environments that have actually also been quietly making people sick. I think we're going to see something big about RFK, and because he's, of course, the Minister of Health. And whenever we see eclipses in Virgo, whenever there are things going on in Virgo, there is definitely a possibility that he's going to give us more disclosure on medical procedures, on what happened in the past, how that is affecting our health. And whenever Venus shifts over into Aries as well, it's going to be about female fertility. And it can be quite big news here over the next few weeks. So I'm already mentioning that as well. So here we have the summit activation of Elena, and she's going to do that on March the 18th. So it's going to be a very beautiful meditation here, and it's actually called the summit activation, and she's going to help you rise you to the highest frequency at the astrological new year on the 18th of March. It's going to be live at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and she's going to broadcast the meditation from the summit of the Dominican Republic Mountains. How beautiful is that? I cannot wait to tune in for that, because honestly, what Elena is doing here is going to be massively important before we kick off Aries season and before we see this whole buildup of planetary stellium. It's going to be necessary to realign ourselves so that we can embody our own spiritual warrior archetype and that we can actually fight for peace. And Elena and the rising of the frequency with meditating everyone together is definitely going to help to set us up before Aries season kicks off. So you can definitely check that out at the Beyond Mystic Academy page. Very beautiful. So on the 4th of March, tomorrow, we see the moon at the world point axis. The 0 degrees of Libra is also a world point axis, and it's going to oppose Neptune, Saturn, and it's going to make a whole kite figure in the sky. So that means that our emotions and feelings are pointed directly towards what Venus and Neptune and Saturn are going to do. Can be a very big reality check in regards to our finances and also love. And of course, Venus is still in her exalted place of Pisces, where she likes to be. But as soon as she crosses over into Aries, she will be in fall. And that's going to be a very big, it's going to make a very big difference to our finances. So, of course, it's also going to trine Uranus. It's going to trine Pluto. It gets support from all the other aspects of the other planets. So that is actually rather positive. Still, it's pointing towards this, and it is still a very intense aspect here. I'm going to continue a little bit for the week ahead, and I'm going to just highlight the most important things. So yeah, let's look at a way more positive day. We have Sun trine Jupiter. So the Sun, it is also about our leaders, people who are heads of states, presidents, kings, queens, all of that. But also our own sunshine, what makes our heart sing. That is very beautiful here. And it trines Jupiter. And Jupiter is about to station direct, and it's happening at 15 degrees. That is a Gemini degree. So there can be multiple good news coming in. So yeah, I think we can all need it. And it's definitely one of the most luckiest and emotionally supportive days of the entire month. So luckily we can see good news and expansion within the home, family, housing market. But it's definitely about emotional security. So protection, good news, our intuition that tells us something very important. And there can be reconciliations with family. There can be unexpected pregnancies here. There can be growth within the family. And yeah, people really choosing a life that feels safe rather than like, yeah, and that's rooted in chaos. So yeah, confidence, protection, emotional expansion, these are really blessings. So it is a supportive water trine, and help is available, and new doors are going to open, and hearts are going to soften. So it's like a confidence boost that actually comes from emotional truth. So yeah, this is actually like a fresh breath of fresh air after the intensity of the eclipse. So if you want to share your message, if you want to focus on family healing, then that can be a very, very positive day here. I really love this aspect. It's gonna help us move forward with everything that's going on right now. And then yeah, Mars will be at second degree, and that is a Taurus degree, and that will be about our finances again, something being illuminated. We're gonna see some very big financial news, and that is gonna be on the 6th of March and the following days. As Venus crosses into Aries, she's now like way more feisty, way more fiery, independent. But unfortunately, Venus is in detriment in Aries because she belongs to her opposite sign of Libra here. But look how beautiful. This is important. Venus in Aries, Venus belongs to Libra, and the moon is in Libra, actually trining the Pisces. About to trine the Pisces stellium as soon as she moves into Scorpio. So that is actually beneficial here. She's squaring Jupiter. That is okay. Squares to Jupiter are not always bad, and it is a very short transit. So yeah, the whole relationship climate, it changes, and it shifts from like being more like lost in space. And Venus in Pisces, she's exalted and she likes to be in Pisces, but sometimes she has like a little bit of rose-colored glasses, and she's not being able to see like the full reality because she's a little bit in her fantasy world. And it is beautiful, and it is about unconditional love. And as soon as she crosses into Aries, it's way more about what do I want, and it is about like taking more risks in love. Venus and Pisces can be about unrequited love, and really thinking about love in your imagination. And as soon as she jumps into Aries, people are going to be way more stimulated to act on their desire and to really take action on themes regarding to love and finances. Still, it's about like be careful for like impulsive spending because you want to like prove your independence. But it can also be about like fast attractions, even fast breakups, because unfortunately Venus is going to meet up with Saturn, and that's already very palpable during this day. It's already happening here on March. It's even already palpable from the 4th until the 5th, but on the 6th she's at the world point axis. Very big financial global news on the 6th. And of course, Neptune dissolves, and then Saturn is going to restructurize. But people are going to be way more sensitive to the dynamics within the relationships, the dynamics that actually blocking their independence or their identity. And people are going to be like, well, yeah, if you do not let me be myself, then yeah, I'm out. And we're going to see definitely breakups with this one. But also, if you're single, you can have a very fast attraction. But on a more personal level, this is really Venus saying that she's going to choose herself more without an apology. It's like desire, and it gets very direct, very blunt, very outspoken. But definitely, it's also about self-love. But this is definitely a fiery initiation. And on the 7th, we then also see the Venus conjunct Neptune, and we also see then the Mercury Cazimi here. So Mercury Cazimi, these are always times of, it's like a turning point in the retrograde, a moment of insight, insights within the fog that we're all in right now. Hidden information is going to surface. Missing pieces are gonna missing pieces are gonna return and put the puzzle more into order, and there can be a lot of intuitive downloads. And everything that's being exposed and highlighted here, it's going to become undeniable. So we can expect a lot of major announcements, leaked information, whistleblowers. On a personal level, a lot of powerful dream symbolism as well. And this can be a day when we try, or when we, this is like a day when there's going to be more understanding coming in about what the retrograde now is actually trying to tell us. So there can be like a very big epiphany, or yeah, really keep your dream journal. It's going to be very, very, yeah. And Tammy says, hi, Tammy. I rarely remember my dreams. Well, Tammy, that is actually not so bad, because with my Pisces stellium, sometimes, like definitely a few years ago, when it was massively triggered by Neptune, I woke up and sometimes I couldn't like differentiate between like my dreams and reality. It was like a time like 5 years ago, rather crazy, delusional Pisces energy kicking in here with Neptune on top of my Mercury. And I really had to take like naturopathic remedies and homeopathic remedies to help me differentiate between like my dreams and my reality. But I also suffered massively back then from PTSD. That was also something that of course was part of the problem. When you heal that, when your amygdala shrinks again to its normal state, then it becomes less frequent, obvious, like your dreams. So see it as a good thing, Tammy. And whatever is being told to you through your dreams, even if it's only like a little thing that seeps through it, it's just like, even if you do not actively remember that consciously, it is being installed unconsciously. So just surrender and trust that they're gonna tell you, and that you will remember what you need to know. So yeah, Oleander says, anyone else have weird dreams last night? I saw things I didn't want to see. That is very striking, Oleander, because I also had a very strange dream, and I woke up and I thought, I cannot believe that I've just dreamed this, because it was so effed up, it was so weird. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. There is a lot of fish action, definitely. Yeah, it is like all unexplainable. Guinness Girl says, I taught myself to lucid dream, and now I love it because I can control my dreams and I know consciously what's going on if I'm in other dimensions. It's very cool. Yes, actually, I know how to do it as well. But that is also what I just mentioned about, you need to be very, very careful. Once you need to be very well trained, and you need a really good intuition, because sometimes, like when we watch Inception, it's like a dream within a dream within a dream, and then it gets a little bit overwhelming. And that can definitely be the case now with this whole Pisces stellium. Even when I sleep, I don't sleep. Yeah, well, it's important to take some rest during these times. So yeah, on the 7th of March, also Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Propaganda is going to be massive during that day. We're going to see some edited footage as well, half-truths. But that is also then going to give us more insights in what is being exposed right now. So verify your sources. Be your own little fact checker. That is really important now during this time. And don't let like clickbait or rage bait really steer your nervous system during this time. Be able to like look through all of it, because it can be an intense day here. Of course, Venus is also on Neptune, and yeah, it can feel very confusing and a little bit uncertain. And there can be like a peak in romance, but also like a peak in illusion at the same time. Some are going to have very beautiful soulmate experiences for the very first time in their lifetime, but others can feel prone to deception, projection, confusion, also in your finances. And we're going to see some pretty incredible love stories being highlighted in the media as well. I think even very big scandals. Definitely, Venus also deals with very important, prominent women in society as well. And we might even see an arrest an arrest of a very prominent female figure during this time. So that is definitely also in the cards here. Really look at the women who are on the world stage right now. Look, the moon in Scorpio, scandals, makes an 150 quincunx aspect to this. So we might even have some more bad financial news here. Yeah, the moon deals in Scorpio with taxes, debt, rebirth, big money, those who are really in power, and that is creating a little bit of mishap here with the global finances during this time. On the 8th, we are seeing a very big, beautiful, grand water trine. This is positive, you guys. Venus, on the other hand, is going to be conjunct Saturn, and there's going to be a very big reality check around our finances because it's at 2 degrees, and 2 degrees is a Taurus degree. It rules over our financial system. Taurus is like Taurus is like the boss of that. So there can be a big reality check. Boundaries within relationships are going to be reinforced in some kind of way. And some relationships either stabilize and are getting glued together, while others are going to end. So for some, it can also mean having to budget a little bit more, having to restructure something, or it can also be about like confronting patterns of scarcity. But we are going to see like more engagements, more like negotiations in regards to important contracts. That can definitely be because Aries is a very big initiating sign. It likes to start things off, and Saturn can actually mean stability within your finances. So it's difficult for me to make general predictions, as this will play out very differently depending on your chart. Look at your own chart. Look if it makes squares or trines. That is going to be a huge difference in how this is going to play out. But it's definitely a very big karmic checkpoint for relationships and finances. And Saturn wants you to like ask yourself, is it sustainable? Is it mutable? Is it real? Is it grounded in reality? And if it's not aligned, it's going to become way harder to pretend. Commitments get very serious here, and it can even be based more on practicality. But yeah, you cannot build a future on the vibes alone, right? It needs to have some kind of structure. And if you've been giving too much with this whole Pisces stellium, then Saturn is going to show you like this is the long-term implication, and it's going to help you, this aspect, to build something new in love and money, and something that actually lasts. We then also see Mercury at 15 degrees, exactly trining Jupiter here, and also by the moon. So in our emotions, in our psychicness, within our family, that is very, very big flowing trine here. Very beautiful, healing communication. It's about decisions that are being based on feeling emotionally intelligent, and that being triggered here as well. Successful negotiations. If you need support from family, you can definitely find that during this time. And some emotions that are going to be outspoken during this time are going to change the trajectory of a certain situation in like a positive way in your personal life. So it can also be about forgiveness and a lot of new emotional insights that are going to come. So this is like a beautiful repair kind of aspect. Healing, closure, getting support, especially around like belonging and feeling seen and heard, and your emotional needs getting met, and they're really talking about that and just like saying them out loud, and it's going to be received well. So, and of course the moon is in Scorpio. That is already a little bit more intense here as well. But definitely spiritual downloads, ancestral memory. I really feel like if you have people that are crossed over from your family, because that is like crossed over, that is talking to the dead in Scorpio, that is the ethereal realm in Pisces, and Cancer is of course our family. So there is amplification and expansion and talking to our crossed over loved ones. And they can come through very strongly during this time. And they're going to guide you into the next steps and what you need to be doing. To end the week, we see a moon opposite Uranus. And that's going to be a little bit more causing more instability. Let's not forget that Mars just squared Uranus, and Mars is wrapping up its final degrees in Taurus. Taurus deals with our finances, with our body, with also Mother Earth. Whenever Uranus gets triggered, there is great instability in the world, as it's at the last degrees. Like, wait until it's at 29 degrees in April. Just already saying that. But when the moon makes an opposition to that, in Scorpio, it's like intense instability within all of the themes that I've just mentioned. Luckily, it's going to trine this, but it's still a difficult conjunction here. It's also going to, then start to square the whole Pisces stellium, but still, this is like a pressure release. The emotions are gonna spike during the 9th of March. There can be like difficulties to fall asleep, money, food, markets, our security, our physical world, crypto, digital money, all of that is getting like massively triggered here. So there can be like some surprising conversation or message or feeling or a sudden changing plans that creates a little bit of instability. But Uranus, it doesn't show up here to only disrupt your peace. It actually shows up and it gets triggered to break the pattern that was keeping you stuck. So do not go panic sell, do not go panic buy. Wait a little bit until things cool off, but we're definitely going to see some kind of like price shock within food, within energy, within resources. And I think a lot of people are going to start to panic buy a lot of, Tori's rules about like our supply chain system as well. It's like all of our resources, and that creates a bit of intensity here on the 9th of March. So inflation and that being talked about here, because Venus is now at 3 degrees. 3 degrees is the degree of communication about our resources, about inflation, about how everything is getting more expensive because of the regime change and because of other things that are doing right now, and how certain things devaluate in currency and how others are going to spike. And that being talked about here with Venus at 3 degrees. And then the day after that, on the 10th, Jupiter is going to station direct while it trines here still the Sun and Mercury. So that is good news. It is like the universal guidance, the universal protection, wisdom, abundance inside of us is getting massive help here. And luckily, Jupiter is going to balance a lot out. So when it stations direct the day after this, like when I do my next forecast next week, we're going to feel some kind of relief. So that is definitely going to be more positive. So I'm going to quickly look at the comments. Thank you guys all so much for saying so many things in the chat. And I wish I could answer everyone, of course. John says, this is interesting. I understand people that have photography memories can never get into the deepest of sleep, REM sleep. That is actually interesting because I also have like, it's like having another name in Dutch, but it doesn't matter. And yeah, the REM sleep, if you really want to get into that, then you need to listen to binaural beats. Like, look at my last forecast of like last week. I've shared some binaural beats there because that really helps you to put yourself into that REM sleep. And it is very important because that is the sleep that really restores the functions of the body. But with Mars now in Pisces, John, you could be very, very like, thank you for bringing it up, because Mars in Pisces can create some kind of block or some kind of like feistiness and overreactiveness in which we are not able to get into our REM sleep like we usually, of what we're used to. So thank you guys all so much. Yeah, John, like epiphany. Yeah, there are gonna be a lot of epiphanies whenever Mercury and the Sun align on the 7th. Then we can have a big epiphany. That is like then something within the Mercury retrograde period is getting like exposed, and it's getting revealed on that exact day. So watch what they are saying in the news. Use your discernment, but still there can be like massive truths being exposed. So that is very interesting. All right. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or drop them in the comments. Of course, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe here at Beyond Mystic YouTube platform, and also, of course, here on Rumble. And maybe I'm gonna do a card reading. What do you guys think? Maybe I need to pull a card because the emotions are a little bit more intense during this time. And we have such a beautiful Pisces stellium, so I'm gonna pull a card from my favorite deck, the Healing Water Oracle. You probably already know that, for those of you who are into the cards as well. So for this week, what can the audience do or use, or what do they need to know to gain some more clarity or guidance in the upcoming week? Okay, something flipped out. Oh my god, this is beautiful. Okay, planetary wave, soul mission, trust your inner call, and also soul team. That is so beautiful, because that is definitely like highlighting the whole Pisces stellium, and which I just like also highlighted about the grand water trine and being able to receive messages from your ancestors, from your guides, from your star family, so from your soul team. Soul mission, trust the inner call, soul team. There is a planetary wave in the sign of Pisces, and a very rare 36-year aspect of Saturn and Neptune. So everything, all the things we relied upon in our daily life, Virgo eclipse, are now being washed away by Saturn and Neptune. So we need to trust the planetary wave, and we need to really tap into our spiritual practices and make time to unwind and to detach from the chaos, and to really center ourselves and breathe and surrender and really tap into the beautiful emotional water trines that we're going to get this week. There can be definitely solutions coming up. There can be like a new action being taken that is going to divert a lot of the chaos until April. But still, we need to trust, we need to believe that everything is happening according to a higher plan, according to the astrological clock, and that our own opinion on who's right, who's wrong, it doesn't matter. It is really about tapping into it ourselves and listening to our own truth about the things that really matter in our own lives right now. Look at the things that you can control. Stop wasting your energy on the things you have no control over, because you're gonna burn yourself out. We are in the fire horse. We need to tame our horse a little bit. We cannot go crazy on our horse right now. Do not exhaust yourself. Do not go crazy. Do not get angry too much. You can definitely show your anger, but do it in a way that is beneficial for yourself. Go to the gym. It's like about transmutating the darkness and the anger into something beneficial for ourselves, so they cannot siphon it from us or not take it from us. And that is going to be most important for the upcoming week. So thank you guys all so much for tuning in with me today. Keep the trust, keep the faith, keep the connection, keep believing that we are ascending to a higher timeline, and we have a very big increase in our consciousness. Like everything that's happening, it is causing major awakening. And yes, that is turbulent, but it's all part of the plan and part of the process, and it's not gonna stay the same like this. So trust and surrender. John says a wave doesn't actually move towards the shore. Wave goes up and down. Yes, we were definitely in a very up and down wave. We need to surf the wave right now, and we need to trust that the wave is gonna bring us ashore and at the right shore at the right time. So yes, the belief and surrender in divine timing. That is definitely yeah. It's like I live nearby the shore, and it's like Guinness Girl says, the wave gets dragged and then crashes. It is actually also something that is going to help you massively to tap into the Pisces realm. Listen to like water sounds or rain effects, or like a shore that is like a stream that is causing a sound. Listen to that. That is going to help you to tap into the more mystical, unseen realms right now. So, yeah, I grew up at the beach as well. I'm also a beach girl. Yes, I really, really love the beach. I could never actually, the power of the sea, it is so big, it is so immense. Like, my boyfriend has a sailboat, and whenever you're on the sea and like if you do not have like land in sight anymore, it does something with your brain. It's like the rhythm of the waves and the boat and how the water is splashing. It is so peaceful, and it's like your mindset just shifts in a completely different state of being. And I think that is so important to really hone into right now, to really tap into the higher frequencies of Pisces and to expose the lies and let them be exposed. And it's okay, it is all divine timing, and just focus on the more beautiful aspects of the beach. So thank you guys all so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to book a reading, you can find the link for that in the description box below. I still have some spots for April, and April is when things are gonna be a little bit more intense. So I know some of you guys are definitely going to be in need of a bit more help. So thank you guys all so much. And I wish you a very beautiful week ahead. We have one of the most beautiful aspects in astrology, Sun trine Jupiter. So there can be very beautiful, magical things happening this week. And we really need to keep the faith and look at all the things that are going well in our life and really practice gratitude for everything. So, yeah. That is so sweet, Laura. Thank you so much. Bye bye, everyone. See you next time. Bye bye.